It's that time of year again where most coaster channels make a top 10, 20, 30, 50, or 100 coasters lists. I would typically be joining them. However, around this time last year, I stopped counting and ranking coasters because it was taking away from other experiences at the parks for me. That being said, I really wanted to produce some kind of top X video to serve as a recap for 2021 and to catch all of you up to what I've been doing all year. So I'll be ranking my top 5 park experiences or days at parks for 2021. This year I began my first year in ride operations leadership and have a lot of experiences just from that alone. I also visited at least one park every month of the year, and so I feel like I have a good number of experiences to talk about. These experiences are in chronological order rather than in order of importance, but all of them left a lasting impact on me in one way or another. This video is also done mostly without a script, although I do have a few notes to go by. Cedar Point Opening Weekend 2021. What I've never really realized is the amount of work that goes into opening a ride for the season, and that really was shown to me this year. Not only was there just so much training and cleaning and preparing for opening day, but just the stress of all of it leading up to it was really something I never anticipated. That being said, it was certainly very enjoyable. Opening day itself was very, very surreal because my experience at Magnum in particular was always with COVID. I worked it for 2 hours in 2019. Everything other than that was all 2020, and it was just very different. It was quite an adjustment going from having less than half the number of guests on platform at any given time, compared to a full platform, full trains. And while we didn't open with 3 trains on opening day, the following day, which I believe was a Saturday, we did go up to 3 trains, which was my first experience with 3 train operations on that ride. For any of you that are unaware, 3 train operation on Magnum is especially difficult because if you do not send the train that's in the station more than 35 seconds, well, really about 30 seconds after the train ahead of it drops off the lift, then that train that's on the course will actually set up in the safety brakes just after the last tunnel. It's a real hard stop. You really want to avoid it. It counts as downtime. And so I knew about that, obviously, but I had never experienced that, and the entire crew had never really experienced that. So it was a huge adjustment for all of us. And it was just incredible, very surreal to be there for it. Thanks to my amazing supervisor. I was the team leader, but there's a supervisor above me at the location, and the entire crew. We persevered and we did fantastic overall. Opening weekends for any park are always rough. However, altogether we did a really good job in my opinion, and I couldn't be happier with how opening weekend went, and it really set the tone for the rest of the season. Cedar Point CoasterMania 2021. I had always dreamt of working CoasterMania. I never really had much interest in attending CoasterMania or any other coaster events for that matter, but CoasterMania to work CoasterMania has always been something I've wanted to do. Between just the hours of it all and the energy that's there, I was really anticipating this for several years. When I started in 2019, I started it in mid-June. It was just a few days after CoasterMania, and then obviously in 2020 there was no CoasterMania. So 2021 was my first chance at this, and while our hours were shorter than usual, it was still fantastic. We were open from 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., so it was our first day of the season and the first day for the ride in general to operate for more than 12 hours in a single day since 2019. Our crew at the time was just absolutely fantastic. We were still kind of struggling with staffing at the time. However, the people we had were absolutely fantastic, and it was just made for the best possible atmosphere and just the best vibes ever. It was a very, very good day. Everyone really just kind of fit into the vibe of the whole night. And then once obviously the ERT started, it was just a blast seeing everybody, from 8 o'clock to 9:30, just all these people coming through and riding, and they're just exclusive to the event. It was really enjoyable. We did really well that day numbers wise too. For a long time it was our record. But yeah, it was really just a great day, and it definitely goes down as one of my favorite moments of 2021. Indiana Beach and Waldameer trips of 2021. Now, it's really hard to decide between either of these, so I'm just going to include both, as they were both very impactful on that time. These were the first kind of crew trips of the year, so it was a lot of people from Magnum crew, a lot of people from other crews, and just people from around the park, and that led to like Cedar Point takeovers of multiple rides at both parks. One of the most memorable being the Cedar Point takeover on last ride of the night of Ravine Flyer 2. Now, that was absolutely great. There was also takeover of Lost Coaster at Indiana Beach, which a lot of people, it was their first time riding that ride, and if you know anything about that ride, it is something else. It's like no other ride out there. And then we also had a bunch of fun in the Indiana Beach Haunted House, which that is such a good attraction. I'm so glad that exists. It was definitely one of the highlights of the day. Both of these trips came at a time when things were getting kind of stressful at Cedar Point for me. So these trips were relief and just a bit of time to relax and just enjoy the parks and kind of remember, why I was there and why I was in the industry and having fun at these smaller parks, because a lot of times these smaller parks are just so relaxing and so much fun, where bigger parks can be a lot more stressful, even when it's something like Cedar Point, where I can go to all the time and I go to nearly every day of the year whether I want to or not. It's just can't be as relaxing as one of these small parks is. So these were just some of the most fantastic days at the perfect time for me. Jumping ahead quite a bit, it's closing day 2021. Now, this day was just full of so many different emotions and so many different things. For one, I had never worked at the park during a closing day when the weather actually allowed us to operate, so that was weird in and of itself, especially coming off the last few days where we had very limited operation due to the weather. So to actually be open for all of closing day was really strange. Not a bad thing, just was different. It was a really surreal time because all of the season's work that everybody had put in, not just me, not just the supervisor, the entire crew had put in, was kind of culminated into one day. The crew was absolutely fantastic. You're seeing videos now recorded by a friend that absolutely just showcase how amazing everyone was doing. Any kind of issue that would come up was dealt with by any crew member, anyone on that crew, safely, courteously, and quickly. It was absolutely fantastic. The best example of ride operations I've ever seen. We were hitting interval on nearly every train. There were hardly any sets all day. The sets that happened were pretty much unavoidable. But the most important thing was everybody on the whole crew was just working together. And it was so fantastic to see that, because that's such a hard thing to achieve. It's something that you can train for, but it's something that takes a lot of time to actually get everybody on the same page, and everybody just knew what they were doing and did everything perfectly. It was kind of a big last hurrah for the season, and then we capped off the night with some amazing last rides of the season. We had a whole train of regulars that waited it out for the very last public train of the season, and once it was all loaded up, me and the supervisor both took one of the dispatch buttons. There's 2 dispatch buttons for Magnum. We both pressed it for the final train of the season and sent it out. It was such a great moment to kind of see all that happen, and be there for it. It was surreal. The regulars came back cheering. It's such an amazing time. I'm sure there's some of you that were on that train watching this, so thank you. That was such an amazing night, and I hope to do that again at whatever ride I end up at in the future. The photo I'm going to end this section with is a closing photo we took right before we left the ride for the season. It's just so amazing to see everybody there. Is one of the best ride operators you will ever find. So it was such an amazing day, and it really is one of the best moments, not just of 2021, but overall. IAAPA and Florida Parks 2021. This was my first ever time going to IAAPA. For a lot of the people I was with, it was also their first ever time going to these Florida parks, or for some of them, the first time going in many, many years. We visited pretty much all the Orlando parks, as well as Busch Gardens, and it was such a fantastic time for so many reasons. For one, there's a lot of people that have been working at Cedar Point, or possibly still work at Cedar Point, but live in Florida. So getting to see all of them and catch up, because this had been over a month since closing day. So to get to catch up with everybody was such a fantastic time. It was also nice to kind of look into the parks down there, see how they operate, and compare and contrast to Cedar Point. And see, what do they do better? What do we do better? It's something I never really did in the past, and it was very nice to be able to do. Also got to go to one of my favorite parks, Fun Spot Kissimmee, and just enjoy those fantastic go-karts and the vibe that park has. It's such a highlight. You have to do it if you visit those parks down there. Do not miss it. Outside of that, though, IAAPA was a bit more on the serious side of things. It was so fantastic. It was so much better than I could have ever imagined. It's not just a gathering of, coaster enthusiasts. These are the people that are actually running the industry. And it's not just like they're there and you're on a panel and you hear from them and then they go away. You can go up, you can talk to them, you can ask them the questions you've been burning to ask them, the dumb questions. Heck, you can get job offers, as happened with some members of my group. So it's such a fantastic thing to kind of be involved with. You get to meet so many people. I mean, I think back to 10 years ago when I would be watching Coaster Studios videos in my bedroom after going to Cedar Point. And there's so many people that, talk about, we're going to talk about Fred Grubb and RMC and all these other companies that are out there. And now I get to just go talk to them, and it's just no big deal. 10 years ago, I would have been absolutely amazed. So it's just such a crazy and awesome event that I'm definitely going to attend next year and many years to come. It overall just reinforced and reignited my passion for the amusement industry, and it's definitely set me on that course for the foreseeable future. So yeah, that's about it for this year in review. That's my top 5 experiences. If you liked this, I will probably look into doing it for future years. I know I certainly enjoyed making it. As far as some other things go, looking forward to next year, I plan on making similar videos. What really happened, I've got one in the works right now, so that should be out here soon. Flat Ride of the Week has been very successful. I'm very happy with Season 2, and we're going to continue to make that weekly as long as possible. I'm also looking into uploading a bunch of raw footage because I did that in the past quite a long time ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago now. Obviously we make this footage free to use. I think that's just the right thing to do. I did back then, however, it never really fit on the main channel, and that's where I was uploading it. It also just never got a lot of traction, so I'm probably going to make a separate channel just for Coaster College raw footage or something like that, and try and upload to that. With all the raw footage I have, I think it would be helpful to others to put it out there. Moving with that is the upload schedule. For now, we're going to keep Flat Ride of the Week weekly, and then try and do What Really Happened or another bigger video every 2 weeks. But no promises on that. I'm still in school, and then I have work coming back again here in April. So once that happens, it's going to be just like the past few years where uploads basically cease for the summer and most of the fall. And so that's just kind of how it is. That's how this channel is going to have to be. However, I will continue to upload when I get the chance. But I thank you all for still supporting the channel, and I hope you enjoyed this update. I'll see you all in 2022.